Hey guys, it's Miss Ortiz. I'm here bringing to you Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Chapter 27, Part 2. Hooray, cried Mr. Wonka. He's all in one piece. He's completely unharmed. You call that unharmed? Snapped Mrs. TV, peering at the little speck of a boy who was now running to and fro across the palm of her hand, waving his pistol in the air. He was certainly not more than an inch tall. He's shrunk, said Mr. TV. Of course he's shrunk, said Mr. Wonka. What did you expect? This is terrible, wailed Mrs. TV. What are we going to do? And Mr. TV said, We can't send him back to school like this. He'll get trod upon. He'll get squashed. He won't be able to do anything, cried Miss TV. Oh, yes, I will, squeaked the tiny voice of Mike TV. I'll still be able to watch television. Never again, shouted Mr. TV. I'm throwing the television set right out the window the moment we get home. I had enough of television. When he heard this, Mike TV flew into a terrible tantrum. He started jumping up and down on the palm of his mother's hand, screaming and yelling and trying to bite her finger. I want to watch television, he squealed. I want to watch television. I want to watch television. I want to watch television. Here, give him to me, said Mr. TV, and he took the tiny boy and shoved him into the breast of his pocket and stuffed the handkerchief on top. Squealing and yells came from inside the pocket, and the pocket shook as the furious little prisoner fought to get out. Oh, Mr. Wonka, wailed Mrs. TV, how can we make him grow? Well, said Mr. Wonka, stroking his beard and gazing thoughtfully at the ceiling, I must say that's a wee bit tricky. But small boys are extremely springy and elastic. They stretch like mad. So what we'll do, we'll put him in a special machine I have for testing the stretchiness of chewing gum. Maybe that will bring him back to what he was. Oh, thank you, said Miss TV. Don't mention it, dear lady. How far do you think he'll stretch? Said Mr. TV. Maybe miles, said Mr. Wonka. Who knows? But he's going to be awfully thin. Everything's getting thinner when you stretch it. You mean like chewing gum? Asked Mr. TV. Exactly. How thin will he be? Asked Miss TV anxiously. I haven't the foggiest idea, said Mr. Wonka, and it doesn't really matter anyway because we'll soon fatten him up again, and we'll have to do is give him a triple overdose of my wonderful super vitamin candy. Super vitamin candy contains huge amounts of vitamin A, vitamin B. It also contains vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin F, vitamin G, vitamin I, J, K, L, vitamin M, N, O, P, Q, vitamin T, vitamin U, vitamin V, vitamin W, vitamin X, vitamin Y, and believe it or not, vitamin Z. The only two vitamins it doesn't have in it are vitamin S, because it makes you sick, and vitamin H, because it makes you grow horns on top of your head, like a bull. But it does have in it a very small amount of the rarest and most magical vitamin of them all, Vitamin Wonka. And what will that do to him? Asked Mr. TV anxiously. It'll make his toes grow out until they're as long as his fingers. Oh no, cried Miss TV. Don't be silly, Mr. Wonka. It's most useful. He'll be able to play the piano with his feet. But Mr. Wonka... No arguments, please, said Mr. Wonka. He turned away and clicked his fingers 3 times in the air. A Oompa Loompa appeared immediately and stood beside him. Follow these orders, said Mr. Wonka, handing the Oompa Loompa a piece of paper on which he had written full instructions, and you'll find the boy in his father's pocket. Off you go! Goodbye, Mr. TV. Goodbye, Mrs. TV. And please, don't look so worried. They all come out in the wash, you know, every one of them. At the end of the room, the Oompa Loompas around the giant camera were already beating their tiny drums and beginning to jog up and down to the rhythm. There they go again, said Mr. Wonka. I'm afraid you can't stop them singing. Little Charlie caught Grandpa Joe's hand, and the two of them stood beside Mr. Wonka in the middle of the long, bright room, listening to the Oompa Loompas. And this is what they sang. I'm going to stop here. N10. We will continue on with part 3 and the final part of chapter 27 next week. Have a good day, you guys.